Welcome to 21st Sports Recap and Reaction for the Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys in their Week 3 matchup, which was played September 27, 2015. We're going to go over all the scores and the stats and give our breakdown and analysis. Let's get started in the first quarter. So this was a wild game for sure. And just over a minute into this game, Joseph Randle runs at 37 yards for the touchdown. The extra point by Bailey would make it 7-0 Dallas over Atlanta. Then about halfway through the first quarter, Joseph Randle scores again, this time on a 1-yard touchdown run. Bailey kicks the extra point, and it's 14-0 Cowboys over the Falcons. Then with 3 minutes left, still in the first, Devonta Freeman puts it in from 3 yards out on the ground, and Bryant kicks the extra point, and it was a 7-point game now with the score Dallas 14, Atlanta 7. So that was the score after 1 quarter of play. Then in the second quarter, the Cowboys got their third rushing touchdown of the game. This one, Darren McFadden from 2 yards out. Bailey kicks the extra point, and it was 21-7 as the Cowboys put their lead back to 14 points. And that was about midway through the second quarter. Then with just over 2 minutes left before halftime, Devonta Freeman gets in the end zone for the second time this game, a 2-yard touchdown run that had been set up by an interception that was thrown that set up the Falcons in good position. Bryant got the field goal here and made it a 7-point game as it was now Cowboys 21, Falcons 14. But the Cowboys respond as they march right down the field in 6 plays, going 80 yards in just over a minute and a half. With less than a minute left before halftime, Joseph Randle punched it in from a yard out, his third touchdown of the game, the Cowboys' fourth rushing touchdown of the game. Daniel Bailey kicked his fourth extra point of the game, and it was now 28-14 Cowboys over the Falcons. They said with just over 30 seconds left before halftime, but the Falcons would get into field goal range, going 66 yards in 6 plays, and Matt Bryant hit a 32-yard field goal to make it an 11-point game with the score Dallas 28, Atlanta 17 going into the locker rooms at halftime. So then in the third quarter, midway through the third quarter, Julio Jones would catch a pass from Matt Ryan and take it 45 yards all the way to the end zone for the touchdown. And the Falcons went for 2 points, and Matt Ryan hit the tight end Toyololo, and it was good. They converted the 2-point conversion, and that would put 8 points on the scoreboard for them and bring their total to 25 as they now trailed the Cowboys by 3 with the score Dallas 28, Atlanta 25. That would remain the score going into the fourth quarter, and then about 3.5 minutes into the fourth quarter, Devonta Freeman would score his third touchdown of the game. This one, a 7-yard run. Matt Bryant added the extra point, and now the Falcons were in the lead for the first time in this game with the score Atlanta 32, Dallas 28. So then with 3 minutes left, Julio Jones gets a 2-yard touchdown pass from Matt Ryan. Matt Bryant then kicks the extra point, and it was now 39-28 Falcons over the Cowboys as they extended their lead to 11 points, and they would hold on to it in the end, and they would win this one with the final score 39-28 as they were up 28-14. But then they let the Falcons come back and score 25 unanswered points to win this game 39-28. So what a collapse by the Cowboys here. They came out looking really strong, doing what they needed to do in this game, having success on the ground, running that ball all over the Falcons in the first half. The Falcons made the adjustments at halftime, and they were able to shut down the run. And of course, the Cowboys became kind of one-dimensional at that point. They were having so much success on the ground, but once they got that big lead, they just kind of fell asleep at the wheel. They said the Falcons made the adjustments, and with Atlanta even playing from behind with a quarterback like Matt Ryan and the way Devonta Freeman was running the ball, they just kept moving down the field and they kept getting into the end zone. And Julio Jones was making big play after big play, especially on third downs, as he was converting quite a bit. Actually, look at the stats here. Matt Ryan, 24 for 36 with 285 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Brandon Weeden, 22 for 26, 232 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. And his interception actually came at a point where I believe he was 9 for 9 when he threw that interception. And that actually stretched back to where he was 7 for 7 when he came in for Romo last week. And even if you go back even further, he had thrown 21 completions in a row before having that interception. And he even finished the game 22 for 26. But he was 9 for 9 to start the game. He threw that interception. And really, I mean, he didn't make big mistakes after that, but he just didn't really get anything done. He wasn't making the big plays, on third down. Joseph Randle, he started off so strong, especially in the first half there with those 3 touchdowns, but he finished the game with 14 carries and 87 yards. And as I said, the 3 touchdowns. McFadden, 6 carries, 35 yards, and 1 touchdown. And on the other side, Devonta Freeman comes up huge in this game. He usually splits time with the rookie Tevin Coleman, splits carries with him, but the full load fell on Freeman's shoulders, and he stepped up big time in this game, having probably one of the best games of his career, if not the best game of Freeman's short, young careers. He's not been in the league that long, but 30 carries, 141 yards, and 3 touchdowns for Freeman as well. As he ended up, early on it looked like it was all Randle, but Freeman ends up outshining Randle by the end of the game. And the real big star as well, Julio Jones, 12 receptions, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving, including that 45-yard touchdown they had. And it said a lot of big plays by Julio Jones on third downs. He was coming up clutch in the second half, keeping drives alive. Freeman also had 5 receptions for 52 yards to go along with his 141 rushing yards to give him a total of 193 total yards in this game for Devonta Freeman. And Hankerson had 3 catches for 45 yards. And on the other side, the leading receiver for the Cowboys was actually their running back, Lance Dunbar. He had 10 receptions for 100 yards to go along with his 1 carry for 5 rushing yards. The tight end Jason Witten, 6 receptions for 65 yards. Cole Beasley, 4 receptions for 49 yards. And Randle actually had 2 receptions for 18 yards to go with his 87 rushing yards, which actually put him at $105. When we look at Bailey, was 4 for 4 on the extra points, but he did not attempt a field goal. Bryant was 4 for 4 on extra points as well. He did go 1 for 1 from field goal range, hitting the 32-yard field goal in this game, the game's only field goal. When we look at the defense, the game's leading tackler, the former Cowboy, Justin Durant, but now a Falcon. He had 8 tackles in this game. Sean Lee was the leading tackler for the Cowboys with 7 tackles. He also had a sack as well. And for the Falcons, Moore had the lone interception in this game, and Beasley and Claiborne each had sacks for the Falcons. We look at the team stats. Total first downs, 26 for the Falcons, 23 for the Cowboys. And on third downs, the Falcons converted 9 of 14. That's 64% converted on third down for Atlanta. And the Cowboys struggled on third downs, converting just 1 third down out of 6 tries, just 16% on third down conversions. They went for it once on fourth down, and they did not convert. That was 0 for 1 on fourth downs. Total net yards, the Falcons 438, the Cowboys 347. And on the ground, the Falcons netted 158 yards, the Cowboys netted 127 yards on the ground. And through the air, the Falcons netted 280. Matt Ryan was sacked once for a 5-yard loss. And the Cowboys netted 220 through the air as Weeden was sacked twice for a total of 12 yards lost. Let me look at the red zone. And in the red zone, the Falcons 4 for 5, converting 80% of their red zone opportunities. They were 4 for 4 when they were within the 10-yard line. And the Cowboys actually were good in the red zone, 3 for 3, 100% in the red zone, as they were getting it in there once they got up there. But look at the time of possession, 34 minutes, 13 seconds for the Falcons, 25 minutes, 47 seconds for the Cowboys. This game was almost like a tale of two halves. It really was, too. In the first half, it was all Cowboys, especially in that first quarter. They just kind of exploded on the Falcons. And even in the the second quarter, they kept rolling. 14 points in each the first and second quarter. But then the Falcons defense, as I said earlier, they made the adjustments at halftime, and they shut out the Cowboys in the second half. They're able to stop the run. I kind of wondered what were they doing in the first half. Did they not know the Cowboys' game plan out the gates would be to run the ball, especially without Romo? But even with that, the Cowboys were having all kinds of success on the ground. So just open up huge holes. Randle was just running wild. I said he had the 3 touchdowns in that first half, 4 touchdowns on the ground for the Cowboys in the first half, and then just 0 points in the second half. They said they didn't make the adjustments. Seemed like they just, they didn't know what to do with the lead. That's the thing when you're, missing Romo. That's where it really comes into, under a microscope, kind of, I would say. The Romo would know how to play with the lead, whereas, an inexperienced quarterback, you're going to be nervous about what do you do with them, as it is anyway. Usually once you get the lead, you're just going to run the ball. But as it were, Atlanta said they made those adjustments to plug up those holes, keep 8 guys in the box and shut down those rushing lanes. And they were able to, do quite the job in that second half. And then even that, the one turnover there, that interception that they came up with, and just Matt Ryan just kept firing off. And really, so the big difference to me in this game was Julio Jones, who just kept converting those third downs. Freeman as well, just coming up huge on the ground for the Falcons, running all over, Dallas's defense, especially when they got down in the red zone. Freeman was just running through big, huge holes, just running it right up the gut. And the Falcons did quite the job of blocking and opening up those holes. Also, they did a good job of protecting Matt Ryan. So the Falcons come away with a huge comeback victory on the road. And you got to think these Falcons are for real. They're 3-0. And statistically speaking, teams that go 3-0, 75% of the time they make the playoffs. It's not a guarantee, but it's certainly getting started off on the right foot. They're definitely headed that way. They're on that path. As long as they don't derail themselves, they keep playing the way they're playing, they should be fine. The Cowboys at 2-1, they're still 2-1. They can't get Romo back quick enough, that's for sure. Of course, they did sign Matt Castle, but he was third string and was not available to play in this game. Be interesting to see throughout the week, how quickly they can bring Castle up to speed. Is he actually, Whedon played pretty good, but you would think Castle would be an improvement, but I don't know. Whedon, 22 for 26, he was, definitely accurate, and he wasn't, making bad throws. Even that interception was kind of unfortunate. I wouldn't necessarily put the blame solely on him for that one. I said he protects the ball pretty well, but he also, though, is not coming up making the big plays when he needs to. Doesn't quite have the experience, at the line, making the audibles that Romo would have been making, that would have, made the adjustments to, keep the lead. Where he just doesn't have the experience of playing with the lead and what to do with that. He really just doesn't have much experience at all. But I thought, all in all, he actually did a pretty good job. And really what happened with the Cowboys is that their defense just could not cover Julio Jones, and they couldn't stop the run. And they just couldn't stop the Falcons from scoring, especially in that second half. But let me know what you think in the comments section below. Definitely interested to read your thoughts and opinions, whether you agree or disagree. I'm definitely open and interested on other perspectives and learning from each other as we share information back and forth. Thank you very much for listening. It is greatly appreciated. I hope you're having a good day and have a great weekend and enjoyed all the sports.